You said that starting a business with paid marketing, you think is the hardest route. Why is that?
It's a lot harder to work out Facebook and meta advertising than it is to send your friends an email or a DM. So that's why I think it's the harder route. There's more variables. If we're making $4,000 in a month, we are fucked. We're like beyond fucked.
Beyond fucked. If we are not making at a bare minimum 30 grand per month, that we're in serious fucking trouble.
I'm spending more than that a week.
I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to paid marketing is that people believe that if I just run ads, this will explode my business. This will fix everything else. I will get millions of customers and clients. Not exactly.
I started our business when I decided to turn it into a business rather than freelancing. Started with paid advertising and went from there. And I'm glad I did, but I would definitely say it's the harder road, I would say, than going the opposite route of.
Welcome to the Creative Grit, the podcast for creative entrepreneurs who are hungry to have more impact, make more money, and become successful in every area of life. I'm your host, Nelson, and your journey to mastering life and business begins in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to another episode of the Creative Grit podcast. Today, I have a fellow video business owner. He's the founder and CEO of Wildkinds Studio, which focuses on serving service-based businesses, and they help them attract their dream customers with the power of video. Please welcome my incredible friend, Flynn Graham. How are you, brother?
Thank you so much for having me on, man. Obviously, you've been on our website and looked at our keywords on there. I love the intro, but I'm very well, thank you.
I do my research. I want to make sure that I get it right.
You do.
Flynn, you've been able to build an incredible business far beyond what 99% of videographers will ever make it. What does it take to build multi-six-figure video agency?
Honestly, I think at the beginning with the multi-six figures, it's just knowledge. It's just knowing the right things at the beginning that are going to really help you through that beginning part of the journey, which is lead gen. Realistically, the first part of getting to that stage is lead generation and being able to get in front of the right people, which I think is where a lot of creatives fall over. I think we've spent a little bit too much time worrying about what people think about us and putting our work out there and just don't get in front of enough eyeballs. I don't know if you've heard the saying, but like, if you build it, they will come. It's just so not true. It's just so not true at the beginning. It's like you have to build it and then shout about it and tell everyone that it's there. And then people start to come. And then over time, we're starting to move into this phase. Like the lead gen will never stop, but we're moving into this phase at the moment where I'm getting people that'll email me and be like, oh, hey, I was referred to you by this other person. And I won't actually know who the other person is, which means that people are talking about what we're doing in our services far enough that now we're starting to get referrals from acquaintances of clients and things like that, which is a nice feeling as a business to kind of go from that. But in answer to your question, what does it take to make multi-six-figure video business at the beginning? Just leads.
You nailed it with that. That's one of the biggest lies that creatives are told. Just become really good at what you do and everyone will come to you.
Yeah.
It does happen, but much later down the track. Once you have a stack of proof that is absolutely undeniable that you are the best in a specific industry, then is when you start getting that actual referrals, word of mouth, just organically people coming to you. But also your product and service has to be the best of the best for that to happen, because then your existing clients or customers will recommend you to other people as well.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. The one thing that I think is the nuance there, like all things in this, like there's all these nuances to it. I think at the beginning, quality comes from quantity. So having done the thing, I think if too many people spend too much time trying to make the thing perfect before getting out there and battle testing it, because on paper, it might be absolutely perfect. And then as soon as you run it through a real life situation, the wheels start falling off here and there. And then that's when you know where you need to focus to fix it. I think too many people try to make their product absolutely perfect before taking it to market rather than getting it to where you know you can get a result or creating some kind of flaw for yourself to catch yourself if you're not going to be able to deliver the results or whatever that happens to be. But start telling people about it and getting people on board and through your product or service and whatever it is to start testing it.
Perfection is the enemy of progress.
Yeah.
And perfection has killed so many dreams and careers and businesses because they just don't get the thing out there.
Also, perfect changes. Like, say, we're in the social media space, so we do quite a bit of social media work. By the time that I created a perfect system, the game changes. So if you're not in there and just iterating, by the time that you make this perfect thing, it'll be perfect for like a day.
Absolutely.
And then everything will change and you're like, oh, it's a different metric, different thing. We're doing carousels now.
And perfection is also determined by the knowledge that you have at hand at that point in time.
Yeah.
Because the further you advance your skills and knowledge about something, then you start realizing what you thought was almost perfect is far from actually being perfect because now you have new information of how to make it even better.
Yeah.
Right? So I like this word that they have in CrossFit, which is virtuosity. So it's always striving for perfection, knowing that you will never get it. So that's a concept that I try to apply myself to and my team to, is that yes, let's not lower the standards. We have very high standards with everything we do. It all starts from the little things of how you pack everything to a shoot. How do you deliver the final piece of content to your clients? How you put together the strategy? How do we make that the best that it can be? But we know we will not get it perfect. However, that doesn't mean we're not striving for perfection, which is kind of like a clear distinction, not letting perfection get on the way, but also not dropping the standards of what you're doing so that you can truly be world-class at what you do. Now, if leads is the problem, how can a video business solve their traffic and lead generation issues?
By talking about their business. It's usually a pretty good start. Like when we're dealing with other, say, service businesses, and they're saying, oh, we don't really put anything into social media because we don't generate any leads through social media. And then it's like, okay, cool. What do you currently do on social media? What have you done in the past? And like, nothing. I'm like, well, there's no wonder that you're not getting leads through that. For me, the first step, if you're not getting leads through any kind of service, whether it's SEO or ads or whatever, is are you actually doing it? And I mean doing it properly. Like boosting a post on Facebook is not Facebook advertising. Like, are you actually running ads? Or even if you're not at the space where you don't want to be investing in ads, are you actively talking to people about your business? And this is the interesting thing where I personally don't believe at the beginning, let's say a video business, I can talk about that one pretty easily. I personally don't believe if you're starting a video business, posting organic content is you doing work around generating leads. I think organic content is something that you should just be doing anyway, and it's more of a brand awareness piece at the beginning so that the people you do talk to and manually go and talk to, they can see what you do and see that you exist. But at the beginning, it's like, okay, you have no one that wants your work. Who are you telling about that you have work available for them to do? If the answer is no one, then there's your problem. If you just increase that to like 5 people a week that you tell about that you're doing this thing and this is what they can get out of it, I reckon within the span of 3 weeks, you will probably have some clients.
Absolutely. And it's always starting with the low-hanging fruits. Who are the people currently within your ecosystem that might be a really good fit for your specific offer or service, right? Is there someone that you have worked with in the past that now you can reach back to and offer this new thing that you put together because you know their business are going to get great benefit out of it? Is there someone that they could refer you to by you simply calling them and asking, hey, I'm offering this thing now. Do you happen to know anyone that is looking to XYZ? And getting a referral. Someone that could come from a friend. You actively reaching out to people, cold outreach, right? There's a million ways of doing it if you can, let's say, invest into paid marketing.
I started our business when I decided to turn it into a business rather than freelancing, started with paid advertising and went from there. And I'm glad I did, but I would definitely say it's the harder road, I would say, than going the opposite route of literally start with your family. Like if you have family in the area that you live in or that you operate in, start with your family. They will bend over backwards to help you. And there is a 100% chance that they will know someone who will give you a shot. And then at the beginning, obviously, all you're doing is battle testing your product or service and getting those clients on the board so you can get referrals get testimonials and referrals as well. But if you just start with your friends and family and you like literally, if you just open up your phone and write into Facebook Messenger, hey, whoever, I've just started this business, so I'm wanting to get more of these kind of clients. I'm really excited about it. This is what we do. Do you know one person? Not do you know anyone? Do you know one person who might actually fit this? And then copy that and send it to all of your closest friends and all of your family members. You'll have some clients.
Now, what are the 3 things that any video business needs in order to get to 6 figures and multi-6 figures as quickly as humanly possible?
I think the first one is obviously an offer. It's probably the first thing that you should do. If you can productize what you're doing, it's going to help you a lot later on. But if it's just how can you get to 6 figures as quickly as humanly possible, have something that the market actually wants, a particular type of video, something like that. Testimonials is probably the easy start. Everyone knows the value of those. You don't need to articulate the value of that. Second one, you need some clients, obviously. You need people who want to buy this thing. So that's where asking friends, families, referrals, all that kind of stuff comes into it. And then from there, it's a process to deliver it so that then you can actually hit your 6 figures. So if you've quantified how many of that thing that you decided that you're going to offer you need to make your 6 figures, then you know exactly how many clients you need, and then you know exactly how many people you need to be asking and how many referrals you need to be getting, and also how quickly you need to be delivering it so you can actually hit your number. But like say, for example, if you're, let's say you're doing a testimonial and it's on the low end and it's like $2,000 or something like that, you know that you're going to need to deliver a few of these a month to be able to actually hit your 6-figure target in the year. So you know that your system and the way that you're doing the shoots and all of that needs to facilitate that. Whereas if it's taking you a month to deliver one testimonial, you need to be charging $7,500 for it. Otherwise, you're not going to hit your 6 figures. So I would say that's the 3 things that anyone needs at the beginning. Just hit 6 figures is something the market wants, some leads for it, and then a system to deliver that in the timeframes. I'd actually also argue that that's probably the exact same things you need to hit 7 figures, but you just optimize them more and you just need more of it.
You just need to do more of the thing. Absolutely. What you just described there is a productized service, meaning as well that you put this thing together, that you manage to create systems to always deliver the same exact outcome and result for your clients. This is extremely crucial to understand, because it will be truly the fastest way for you to build that multi-6 figures, at 7 figures and beyond a type of business. Once you start delivering the same exact thing, which in our case, for example, for Vibes Creative is podcasting, you understand everything around that specific thing. You can create systems to how you deliver the thing faster, more efficiently, how to remain profitable as well. You know exactly what are your costs. You know exactly what's the customer journey for them to get the results that they want. You can map everything out. You almost look like a magician to them as well, because when a client comes and you're onboarding them, you can then literally almost predict the future for them. Hey, Mr. Client, here is exactly what's going to happen over the next 12 months of us partnering together. At the very first week, this is what we do. We launch your podcast. This is how we do it. This is how we develop your strategy. This is how you're going to get your first sale. This is what we need to do in order to grow the podcast. This is how we get the traction. This is how we launch you into all the major social media platforms. Or at the 90-day mark, this is what we do to take everything to the next level. Then at the 6 months, we're looking to potentially add some paid marketing and so on and so on and so on. So you can literally almost predict the entire future, and people just feel like, wow, this is truly the best team to work with, because they have done this that many times. So choose the one thing that you can be world class at and find a way to productize that specific service. So ultimately you can replicate the same outcome for any client that comes asking to work with you.
100%. I think for people that are just starting out, so like really just starting out, one thing I want to clarify is like what we mean by productize is just offer the one thing and just think about what the benefits are of that thing and start talking about the benefits of the thing, not the thing itself.
Not the features.
Yeah, not the features. So, for example, if you're offering a testimonial video, you wouldn't be like, oh, hey, we can do a testimonial video for you. You'd be like, hey, do you want your customers to trust you when you're on a sales call? And they're like, yes, I do. And you're like, great. The best way to build trust with your customers is to show that you've been able to do it. And the best way to do that is through someone else saying that you can do it. So this is how much it costs for us to do a testimonial video. And then you just do testimonial videos. And then, so by productize offer, we really just mean like pick one thing and learn how to do that really well. And when it comes to systems, this is the thing that I talk to my team a lot about. For me, systems from a business owner's perspective are around efficiencies. That's what I want. I want to see efficiencies, but also from a stress perspective. If you have systems in place, you know at a minimum what you're going to be able to deliver to what standard, which I think as creatives, sometimes if we're given the realms to do everything, we spin our wheels and just do nothing or go too creative with things and it doesn't land. Yeah. All this fun stuff these little corners that creators can find themselves in. So if you've got a system, it allows you to know straight away, okay, I need to do this and do this and do this, do this, which actually frees your mind up to do great work because you already know, even if I'm having a shit day, my system, if I just follow that, I'm going to deliver a good product.
Yes.
And so if I'm having a great day, I know already a good product is sorted. I just need to follow my checklist. Now I can work on how can I make a great product. And so it might be, say, for example, testimonials. How can I answer or how can I ask a follow-up question which is going to make this person cry on camera? And then you're like, cool, I want to do that. How can I take this to the next level? Which is, for me, done by having good systems so that you're not stressed. If you're stressed, you're not thinking creatively. So they're the big reasons why we use systems.
That is such a good piece of information right there. And honestly, one thing that I have found for myself as a creative entrepreneur and hiring many creators and building an elite team for my video podcast agency is that in order for creatives to actually deliver incredible work, stick to deadlines, you need to have boundaries in place. Hence why you need to systematize and productize your service, because then you can create exactly deadlines that are gonna meet that specific requirement to deliver that product at the highest level. And you know exactly how long it takes. We know how many podcasts need to be produced on a single day and how many reels comes with that. And then it's easy to also find out what are the bottlenecks, what are the issues, the nuances, right? Because not editing at podcast A is going to be the same as editing podcast B, because people are different speakers and we maybe had more cameras and whatnot, but we have a good indication of how long it takes. And then we can understand the nuances behind it. But there's nothing worse that you can do to a team of creatives than saying, just go and figure it out. Get creative. That's a terrible fucking advice for your team. If you're telling your team, just get creative, I'm telling you, they will do nothing. There will be zero productivity, and that project will never get done because guess what? What does that mean? If you tell a creative, go be creative, they have no fucking idea what you mean by that, right? Creativity is subjective and it can mean so many things depending on the person. However, if you give clear boundaries, hey, I need you to do this. This is the example. This is how long it takes. This is the system. Get creative within that. That's different because now you're forcing them to think differently within the system that they need to follow for us to deliver that product. And guess what? My team every so often comes up with little things. Oh, I think we can do this better. Now we get to make the system better and everyone's more productive. Then the other day, one of them was like, oh, I thought we could do this for the intros and the hooks of the long form. And I look at it, that's great. Awesome. Do more of that. But they got creative within the boundaries that we need in order to deliver a high-end final product for the clients. I just want to touch base. You said that starting a business with paid marketing, you think is the hardest route. Why is that?
It's a lot harder to work out Facebook and meta advertising than it is to send your friends an email or a DM. So that's why I think it's the harder route. There's more variables. So as you kind of get in more and more into deeper into Facebook ads, different hooks perform better, different bodies perform better, different call to actions perform better, different headers, blah, blah, blah. Copy. There's just more variables involved in whether it works or not. Also, it chews up your capital. So if you're very first starting out, if you've saved up money that you have to go, great. But as soon as you introduce paid advertising, if you're not getting a return on investment on it straight away, you are losing capital at the beginning. And I know like for certain, if I go back and watch some of the calls that I did in the first 3 months, 4 months, my God, there are so many potential clients in that. Like I would have done 50 to 100 calls with people. And if I go back and watch those, I'd be like, could have closed that, could have closed that. That would be a perfect fit for us. But you're learning sales as you go. So yeah, that's why I would say like doing meta advertising is the harder route. But I think depending on the business that you're making, it is a very smart thing to at least get your head around sooner rather than later. If I was going back, I actually wouldn't start there.
Which is what you just described is the next natural problem after you get traffic, which is now
how do you
sales.
convert them?
How do you get people through the door? Traffic is getting people to the door, and then sales is how do you get them through the door? Because not everyone that shows up to the door is actually going to get in.
No.
Right? So understanding that if you can become really good at paid traffic, it will be difficult for you to struggle. That's a reality too, because it is a numbers game. How many people do you need to get to the door? From there, how many does it take to actually get through the door? And then okay, we need to invest X amount of capital to get X amount of leads. And then from that X amount of leads, we usually convert X amount within
it does
this
make
time
growth
frame,
a lot easier.
Exactly.
Because you kind of know, okay, I'm going to bring on a new team member. I know that they can handle 12 clients each. We currently have overflow of 2. If I want them running at capacity, I need 10 more clients. So how much more money do I need to spend to get 10 clients?
Those 10
clients?
It
becomes mathematics rather than like, oh God, where am I going to find 10 clients? To a certain degree though, sometimes Facebook throws curveballs where if you spend more money, you don't actually get better results. But anyway, that's another whole different kettle of fish.
But that's the thing that I've found with paid marketing is that
you take control back.
Exactly. It helps you scale predictively to an extent. Because that's the other thing to really understand. It's never an exact science.
If there was just a, what do they call it, the silver bullet or the silver pill that just fixes your whole business and everything's done, everyone would be a business owner, we'd all be multimillionaires.
Yeah.
So everything's difficult. Yeah. But I definitely think that on the low end especially, it can get you where you want to go pretty quickly. Yeah, it just has nuances. But is it going to, is it something that's unfailable? No.
Absolutely not. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to paid marketing is that people believe that if I just run ads, this will explode my business. This will fix everything else. I will get millions of customers and clients. Not exactly.
No, not exactly.
It doesn't work exactly like that. You first need to have a great product. You need to have good sales skills as well. So you're not wasting a ton of money.
Leads.
You need to be able to convert these leads. You need to understand, as you were saying as well, headlines, copy, hooks, structure, pain points, benefits of your target market. Because
which is why I say don't start here, because there's a lot to it. There is a lot to it, and there's more things that you can be bad at.
Exactly.
And
absolutely.
So you might find that you're amazing with creative, but then your copywriting skills is bad. And then your ad's going to fall over anyway. So you're like, great. But yeah, you're right. It's not going to completely fix this. The one thing I would say that Facebook ads are really good at doing is figuring out where your system is falling over. Say, for example, you now have leads coming through, but then no one's signing up. It either means that you're trying to sell your product to the wrong audience, or your product's not good, or the way you're presenting your product is not good, or the way you're talking to people is not good, and you're not converting people. And so now you know. And then when you feel converting people and then they're coming through and you're converting a lot of people, then you know, oh, I'm converting a heap of people. It either means my service and product is so desirable, it's too cheap, or some other kind of thing that might be going at it, but it's usually one of those first two. Like you've either got a cracking product that everyone wants or you're too cheap. And so it's a no-brainer for everyone involved. And then you go, cool, converting lots of people, but then if people aren't re-signing up, then you go, okay, the idea of my product is phenomenal. My product is not phenomenal. I need to do something here to make sure that the dream and the product match. Or exactly. I need to make sure that what I'm selling as the dream is actually what my product does. I know, like we had this conversation, I think, at the beginning of this week, where I was with Andrew about how sometimes when it comes to productizing your offer, you want to just keep adding things. Like I do that because I think I have more people-pleasing tendencies. And so it will be like, oh, they're struggling with this. Let's add this. And they'll be like, oh, they could also be email marketing. Let's add email marketing. And then eventually you kind of have to go, hold on a minute. We're a video production company. We're trying to teach people copy and all this other stuff. And then you're kind of going, okay, what is the actual offer that you have? Are the things you're adding still within that offer? Or are you now promising another dream? So I think that's something as well to kind of make sure that what you're promising is actually what you're delivering.
Keeping the one thing, that's one of the hardest things to do as you grow your business and as you get more clients, is that you start realizing that there's many more problems to solve. And I'm a problem fixer. I just want to fix everything. And I get a client and we're solving the problem of authority, of them getting better leads, better pre-qualified leads to their sales goals, of becoming a thought leader in their space, of having that omnipresence, that consistency, of all not having to worry about the content and the ideas and the production and the technicality and all these things. But then I see that they have a sales problem. I want to help. I want to go and solve that. And then I see that,
like, no matter what you say to people, I haven't even cracked this code yet, is no matter what we seem to say to people, if they're having a sales problem, it still somehow becomes a lead gen problem. Our realm is lead gen. And so it's like, okay, sometimes we do have to help them with the sales problem because even if we've established that sales is someone else's realm, we will still be marked on it because that's when people talk about return on investment. Most people, I'll do this as well. I'll mark the dollars in my bank account, not the dollars in a spreadsheet. And so, sometimes we do have to step outside our realms just to make sure that someone's getting the return on investment.
And that's also another aspect of actually caring about your clients. Because that's another thing. I honestly, I tell my clients, and the thing I know to be absolutely true when it comes to this specific industry is that there is absolutely no one that cares as much as we do. We not only do everything at the highest level when it comes to the filming, when it comes to the production side of things, when it comes to the people involved and all the strategy behind this. Truly, I genuinely haven't seen anyone that does it at the level that we do. But also, even if there was someone that is shooting with better cameras, they have a more experienced producer, they have a better cinematographer, they had a better strategy behind it. I rest at peace knowing that no one cares as much as me and my team does. It's absolutely true. Like, so one of my team members just came in. She's 40 minutes early today. We didn't tell her to be here at that time. We didn't say you have to be, no, they know they have to be a few minutes earlier because otherwise they will do push-ups. I don't care, send me to jail. But, you have to be on time. But that's what I mean. Nobody cares as much. I got a message from that same team member last night at fucking 8 p.m. just saying, hey, we need to get this guy on your podcast. He's actually blowing up, blah, blah, blah. She responded to one of the clients at 7:30 p.m., far from her working hours. Hey, well done, because a client was sharing a win with us. That's just a couple of examples. That's how much we care about what we do here. So yes, sometimes it does take doing the extra mile because nobody wants to do it. So by you simply stepping out of that line that everyone is drawing on the sand, it costs you some money. Sometimes it's annoying. You have better things to do maybe. It's all because you care so much about your client. And every single time, gets the client better results, or at the very minimum, will show them that, fuck, these guys truly care. Because we know as business owners as well that nobody cares as much as you do. So when I do find that a team member cares 80 to 90%
That's a win.
as much as I do, I'm like, fuck, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That
They're the
it
people we wanna
blows
keep
my
around.
mind because
Yeah.
I don't expect anyone to care as much as I do, right? So it's the same for your clients, especially if you're talking about business owners, experts, coaches. When they find a team or someone that cares almost as much as they do, it really is mind-boggling.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Like I always joke with our clients a little bit where I'm like, 50% of it is because I care so much about where it is you're going to go and helping you get there. 50% of it is my crippling fear of failure. So one of those two is going to get you to where you want to go. Because if you say, for example, you're lagging behind the targets that we want to hit, there is a 100% chance I'm thinking about it at 10 o'clock at night, thinking about how we can solve it, what things we do outside the box to make it happen, because I'm not going to send the email saying we didn't get it.
There's no option for failure.
100%. You got to be willing to put those extra hours or those effort into it and actually care about the end results. If you don't care about it, you won't do your best work.
What was the life-changing moment for you with your business that you hit a specific financial goal and you thought to yourself, this is fucking insane?
Oh, that's an easy one, actually. So last year, January, so I made the decision to go from freelancer to video agency February last year when I transitioned out of one job into another. And in February the 1st, got out my journal, wrote down my goals that I wanted to do for the quarter. I wrote down in that journal for February that I wanted to make $4,000. In June, we did $80,000 in a month. And so I remember looking at our monthly report for Xero in June and seeing $80K for a month. And I looked at my little journal where I was like, man, I'd be stoked to make $4,000 in a month. And I was just like, yeah, okay. The bar's moved. And now I kind of joke. I'm like, if we're making $4,000 in a month, we are fucked.
Yeah.
We're like beyond fucked.
Beyond fuck. If we're not making at a bare minimum 30
Yeah.
grand per month,
sp-
that we're in
I'm
serious
spending
fucking
more
trouble.
than that
Yeah.
a week.
Exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
spending more than that in like 3 days.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that was probably the final moment for me where I was like, oh shit, this is cool. That kind of pushed the things. There's this law that I can't remember what the guy's name is, but it was a sprinter for ages. For the 100-meter sprint, there was like a limit on what people thought that they could achieve, and no one could get past it. And then one guy came along and crushed it, blew it out of the park, and then immediately, like within a month, a heap of other people had passed it as well. And sometimes it's just like seeing it done once is enough to unlock your brain and remove those limiting beliefs that might be there that are stopping you from getting to that next level. That was a moment for me where I was like, cool. I was setting the bar way too low for myself because it's what I knew.
That is absolutely true. Sometimes that's all it takes. You're seeing it in your close circle.
Yeah.
Or doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
Breaking a specific limit that you had before and just realizing like, wow, things can be much bigger than what I believe to be true.
100%. I think as well, like as you start doing that and you raise that bar for yourself, the other thing that I've found with myself that I'm also doing is raising the bottom bar of what stress looks like. Because I think for a lot of people, myself included, the biggest barrier to success is your ability, I think, to handle stress.
100%.
And how can you operate through that? So obviously, like no one can actually operate at 100% through stress. And so I think that if you can get to yourself out of the space where you're only, as soon as things get stressful and scattered, you're now operating at 20%. If you can get that up to 50%, you're already doing better than most people. If you can get that up to like 80% where you can still function, be calm, all of those kind of things and not snap at people, all that stuff, when you're under stress, you will continue to hit goals. And so for me, like, you know, wanting to make $4,000 in a month and now I spend that in like days, there's that stress level that comes along with it of being like, okay, cool. Now I understand that we are spending like $20,000, $30,000 a month. So my stress for that is now increasing where I'm like, okay, cool, I can handle that stress of knowing that that's going along the way. And so I think that's a big part of it that's going along for me, is leveling up my ability to handle stress and reframe stress in my own mind so that we can continue to keep pushing forward and do it in a way that feels good.
What was the single determining factor to allow you to make those 80 grand in a single month?
Being able to articulate our service, sales, 100%. That was the defining factor between whether we made that $80,000 or not, is my ability to articulate the value of our service.
What came as a result of making your first 80K month?
Systems issues. So the outcome of that was like, with anything, if you have really big months in a service business anyway, if you have a really big month, you then have to deliver that. And then you kind of hit roadblocks with delivering and things start falling over a little bit. So what came out of that was a lot of work around the systems to make sure we could deliver on that, as well as then starting to expand the team to help with that, which then also leads into the thing being like, okay, cool. Well, we've now increased all our expenses. We now need to continue to do this. So how do we do that? Something that I do religiously is once I do a thing or fail a thing, I'll sit down and think about it and actually map out like, cool, why did we do this? Why did this happen? Whether that's a positive or a negative. Like if it's positive, great. Like, but why did this happen? So I can replicate it or make it so it has a very low chance of happening again. But yeah, what came out was big old systems issues of delivering.
How do you solve systems issues?
That's a really good question. So for me, my background is data analytics and supply planning. So I got a bit of previous knowledge around building systems. And for me, the biggest thing that you need to do if you want to have a solid system is actually have it documented. So document your systems. I'm a big believer in flowcharts. It's so much easier to get visual with a thing. And so the moment that some of the systems started falling down, we're like, cool, where in the process is it falling down? If you're just tracking the end metric, which is like on budget or delivered in full on time, you're not going to know enough. All you're going to know is that it went over budget and it took too long. But if you're breaking down your processes into steps and documenting and visualizing it, you can be like, okay, cool. Did we onboard the client within 24 hours? No. Okay. First failure. Did they book their shoot in the first 7 days? No. Okay, cool. Failure. Did we deliver our product within 14 days of the shoot date? No. Okay, failure. And then you go, okay, all of these failures, what happened in that failure to make it fail? So like, okay, didn't onboard the client in 48 hours. Why is that? Oh, a team member was away. Okay, we need something to fix this so that even if someone's away, people can still get onboarded and happen. And so I think the biggest thing for if you want a system that you can actually iterate upon is to have it documented, rock solid. For sure.
Absolutely. SOPs, it's a big one as well. Making sure, this is one of the biggest mistakes I've made, building what it will be an 8-figure creative business, was not documenting early enough my journey of the things, how we do every single thing. How do you pack the gear? How do you set up the gear on the location? How do you set up your cameras? How do you set up the audio and the microphones and the lighting? Then in post-production, how do you handle those files? How do you make the backups? How do you then create your libraries and your projects? How do you do the editing? All these little things, all the way to the final product and everything that happens in between need to be documented. They need to have training videos. They need to have step-by-step guides. And I cannot tell you how much I regret not doing more of
I'm the same. Even though I know like you've got to do it, it's also one of these things where it's like when a client sends you an email, you got to go to a shoot. Like, are you thinking about writing that document? No. You're going to go deliver, do what you need to do. So we're still in the same boat. And I think that again, it's an iteration process and you kind of pick the things that you want to document. Like Andrew is great for documenting stuff. He's really good inspiration for making sure things are documented. But it's like for me to start, I always at a minimum for any new service that we do, we'll have the flow chart at least. So at least in my head, I know how it should go. And then we kind of work on this. We do our SOPs based on the biggest opportunities for failure. So editing SOPs will come generally first because that's where the most time can blow out. And then it'll be like onboarding SOPs, sales SOPs, because that's where the big things are. And then shooting SOPs currently will come last, because for us, like I'll still be on set directing or doing things like this. And so I'm pretty okay with making sure we get that stuff done. But yeah, taking the time to document your SOPs is a big one. And like a fun little hack out there for anyone who wants to start documenting their SOPs, just do it in Loom. Do it in Loom.
Absolutely.
It's going to transcribe it all for you. The other thing with that is don't make long videos.
Keep it simple.
Oh, the shorter the video, the better.
Straight to the point.
There's a couple of reasons for this. One, it's easier to find the video when you need it. Secondly, generally speaking, like this, say if you're a business owner and you've got other people doing it, generally speaking, people will watch the video in full to make sure that they've got the whole process. So if, for example, you just want to know how to schedule content, and that is like a 5-minute process. But if you've got it in a 30-minute video about your whole entire uploading and scheduling process, your team are going to watch the full 30-minute video every time. And that gets real time consuming real quick. So keep your videos to 5 minutes or under. You'll thank yourself. Also, the process has changed constantly. So if you
All
need
the
to
time.
like
You need
refilm
to
a whole 30-minute
re-update,
video, like
exactly.
no way. Don't do that. Short videos.
The way I see it is if you're documenting something that, let's say, is going to take you 30 minutes to fully document, break it down.
100%.
What are the different stages to accomplish that specific task? If that's 3 stages, cool. That's 3 10-minute videos, right?
Yeah.
If it's 4, cool.
I
They're
don't think
even
10-minute
shorter,
videos are
right?
too long.
Yeah,
Like,
it's kind of like
needs to be
that's
like
already
5
getting
minutes.
into
Yeah.
if you can get them somewhere around the 3 to 5 minute mark, that's perfect.
100%. And it also makes it easier to, when you're setting aside your time to do process improvement, you can also hone in on what specific part of the process you want to improve upon, depending on where it's falling down or whatever. So something like we do in my business is every single week. So we do a weekly catch up with our team. Every single week we have on there, what's the 1%er that you're going to implement like over the next week. And so every team member has to have something that they're going to implement and improve upon for the next week. And a 1%er is something that is going to take you 10 to 15 minutes, max 30 minutes to implement. But if you do this, it's going to make your life a little bit better. And that's something that is like a non-negotiable, have to do every single week. Because I know at the end of 50 weeks, we're going to have way better systems. And so that's the thing that like we do internally. At the beginning, I did find that people were picking up projects that are too big. They're like, I think that's where a lot of businesses run into issues, and definitely where I've seen working for larger companies, the issues they run into is thinking that process improvement needs to be like, how do I reinvent the whole system? Like I need to make the whole system better. When you're like, no, you just need to do really small incremental improvements. There's a Japanese term for it. I can't remember it. And I think Toyota does this, and that's their philosophy for things. But if everyone, every single week is just picking something small, you're going to have crazy improvements. Like a great example might be in our studio, things aren't always put back exactly where they need to be. So a 1% improvement for a videographer is going and labeling all of our racks. It's going to take them 30 minutes to do, and it's done. Not a big project, easy peasy. And then next week it's something else, and that's what it's about.
What is the difference between a filmmaker and a video business owner?
Filmmaker? What do you mean a videographer?
Videographer, filmmaker, however you choose to call it.
Okay. Well, when you talk about filmmaking, I'm thinking like feature films, big set. But okay, I'll go videographer. I think the difference between a videographer and a video agency is the fact that a videographer is feeding themselves and their family. A video agency is feeding multiple people and their families, and it's just it's different volumes. And I think for a video agency, you also, I feel, need to really understand how your videos are being used. I think a lot of videographers may not actually fully understand how their videos are actually being utilized. They just know how to make the video. Like they just know how to be really good with the lighting and do the thing and make the video, but they're lacking the understanding of like how it's being used and where it's being implemented. Whereas I think as a video agency, you kind of really need to know where about your video is being used so that you can be an expert on that and provide more strategy for the usage of videos rather than just being told like, hey, we need this video. Can you do that? Yeah, cool. Here you go. They're probably the big things that I would say.
You nailed that so perfectly. It's absolutely true. Those are the two biggest differences, that as a video business owner, you are not just providing for you and your family, you're providing for many people. This thing grows way past beyond you, and so many people then become reliant on it, which is a massive responsibility
Oh,
to
yeah,
have.
100%.
And is what's one of the things that it will either destroy you at some point or will keep you going. Because using me as an example, one of my biggest fears is having to tell my team, hey, I cannot pay you, I have to let you go. That's not even a question for me. I will never be in that position where I'm letting someone go because we didn't perform or because we didn't kept our promises as well to clients, so they left us. I will never be that guy. I will do everything in my power to make sure that I can provide for my team, that I can provide for the families of everyone in here. And the longer you do it as well, you start seeing some of the incredible things that your team members can do
Yeah.
because they are a part of your business. I have one team member that bought his land for his first house that now is being built.
Yep.
And that was one of his dreams. I asked him when we first started working together, like, what are some of the things that you want to accomplish as we work together and as we grow together? He said, I want to get my house. And he bought his land. He's currently building the house. And he told me on one of our calls, you have kept every promise that you made. There's nothing more fulfilling for me than hearing that, because I did tell him, we're going to build an empire. We're going to build something incredible. We will be the best of the best when it comes to this one thing that is podcasting. We're going to have X amount of clients. You're going to have to build a team. We're going to make you manager. Every single thing I told him has happened. And we're still far from where we're going, but we already have the proof that everything we say we're going to do, we do.
It's a good motivator, I think. The one thing that I kind of pull myself up on a little bit is whether we deliver our promises or not isn't solely my responsibility. And so, say, for example, we end up in that position where you have to let someone go because things aren't performing. I think the most powerful thing a team can recognize is the fact that they're a piece of the machine, which is the business, or they're a part of this. They're rowing in the boat with everyone else. And whether someone gets let go or whatever that happens to be because of, say, revenue or clients and stuff like that, it's not just the business owners, generally speaking, fault that's in there. And so I think that's where camaraderie really comes into it, because it's like, you're turning up to work to help row the boat to get to this dream outcome, not just for yourself and not just for your family, but also the person sitting next to you and the other people that are there. Because again, like if everyone stops rowing or someone's not rowing or whatever, especially in a small business, like you notice that you're literally negatively impacting the person next to you. There might not be enough money for that person to come in the 4 or 5 days a week that they want to do. They can only come in 4. It's because 3 of us are slacking off doing piss all. And I think that is part of the responsibility that needs to be shared, not just sitting on the business owner to be like, oh, it's up to you to make it all happen. Like, no, it's a team effort to get to the dream outcome where we want to go to, for sure.
Absolutely. And that's the responsibility as well of the CEO and the founder.
Yeah, to articulate that and get people on board.
How do you get everyone on board with the mission? How do you make sure that you get not only people on the bus, how do you get the right people on the bus? Which is one of the biggest things I've seen businesses fail because they got the wrong people on the bus. They didn't set up a high standard. They didn't check and battle test these team members as well. And guess what? They weren't the right fit for what you were trying to do. And as you were saying, in a small business, everyone is in there together. It doesn't matter what's your position in there, whether you are the videographer, the social media manager, the ops manager, the CEO, the sales guy, the marketing guy. You're all in this together. And you not accomplishing the tasks that you need to do is potentially hurting someone else in your team or everyone else in your team, because you might lose a client for that. You might not get clients because of that. You might make a mistake that is going to cost you thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that can go wrong.
I got this cool like
and
analogy
affects
for
everyone.
that.
Yeah.
Where like I try to sit down all our team as they come on board, because a lot of the team are either younger or mid-20s, late 20s. Most of them have worked in retail or fast food or these other things. And so here's this analogy of, imagine you're in the Titanic, right? Everyone is in the Titanic, and just imagine everyone can touch the water. The Titanic's being propelled by everyone on there with their hands out the window, just paddling. You've got 3,000 people all paddling. What happens if you, number 3,000, stops paddling?
The boat keeps going.
Boat keeps going. But then now let's say you're in a small little dinghy and there's 2 people in the dinghy and the 2 people are rowing. What happens if one of those people stops rowing?
The boat will spin out of control and will not go
Goes
will
nowhere.
Yeah.
And that is a small business. But the flip side of that is the beauty of it, where I tell my team, I'm like, if you stop rowing, we'll notice.
Yeah.
But if you row harder, I notice.
I also notice.
100%,
Absolutely.
because your effort this is the beauty of a startup. The more effort you put in, you see what you're getting out of it. Whereas in a very large organization, the effort you're put in is a part of a much larger machine.
Yep.
And so sometimes it can feel like whether you're there or not,
It makes no
it
difference.
doesn't make any difference. Obviously, if enough people didn't show up, it'd crumble. Or if the right people didn't show up, it would crumble. But in a small business, if you're not there, you see the impact that you're having, like the positive impact you're having on the business. As soon as you take you out of it, you can see that it just stops. And so you know that you're having an impact and you're doing something, which is why I think if people want to really create change or do something that has like where their effort has a positive, like a big positive impact, startups are a great place to go to get a bit of that. You've got to have a bit of grit to you and you've got to be willing to wear multiple hats. I think if you're the type of person that, let's say video, for example, if you're the type of person that's just like, I just want to be a shooter. Like I just want to shoot. I don't care about anything else. I just want to operate the camera. You either need to be like an absolute weapon on that thing, or you need to go work for a larger video production company, or you need to go freelance yourself, because chances are in a startup, you're not going to be just being a camera operator.
You're going to have to do different
Got to wear
tasks.
different hats.
Exactly.
Like for example, our videographer, Ryan, he's awesome, but he's also our content creator. So he's editing our social media content. And it's just because it's like, we don't do enough shoots in the week to facilitate someone just shooting, which kind of boggles some people. But I'm like, for me, like we've done the maths. If he was shooting 5 days a week with clients, I would need like 20 something editors to edit all the volume of all of the stuff. And I'm like, that's a whole different another ball game. Yeah. Like if we've got that many clients, we're a multi-7-figure business cruising around. So putting that into perspective for people, I think, yeah, if you want to really have some massive positive impact for a business, join a startup, join a small business, but just understand you're probably going to have to wear a couple of hats. But you can always be amazing at one of them and use the other ones as complementary hats. Like say, for example, you're a videographer, but you also know a bit about social media. They're perfect fit. If you're a social media person and you know a little bit about paid advertising, bang, perfect fit.
It's really
that
good.
Kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's one of the first things that I ever told my ops manager when she first joined the business was she was coming from a corporate job.
Yep.
And I said, just know that as soon as you step in here, this is a new world for you to contribute to and to help move. And back in your corporate job, it didn't matter what you do. Guess what? The only person that maybe cares a little bit is your manager. And he might get a little bit annoyed if you don't show up, if you don't do the work, if you are being lazy. He might have a little meeting. Hey, notice you're not doing as much. Why is that? Or are you dealing with something? It's okay. Just keep going with it. Nobody cares. If you do something incredible, nobody notices. Maybe the person next to you will tell you, oh, well done. Maybe your manager will say, oh, yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
That's all you will get. But if you do that here, if you're lazy, if you don't get this stuff done, if you fail on completing your daily tasks, if you don't analyze what are the things that are working, the things that are not working, you might potentially cost us thousands of dollars and cost the job of someone else in here. And the opposite is true. If you do something incredible that helps,
You'll know
move
about it. We'll tell you.
we will let you know. You will see the biggest smile. We will be celebrating. We will all high five. We will push our celebration buttons, and we will go out to dinner. We're gonna be talking about it the entire day, and make sure that it gets documented of how you got that win. But everyone will know, and everyone will be able to continue to spin this little world in here because you did that.
Yeah, 100%. Don't join a startup if you have a fear of being seen,
Absolutely.
because we will see you.
we will see
seen.
you.
You will be seen.
Yeah.
For the positive
There's no
and
hiding.
the negative.
There's no hiding.
No, you can't.
Everyone will know, and you're going to be held accountable in a high performance team.
I love that stuff.
And if you're not being accountable, that business is going nowhere. Flynn, what is the worst piece of advice you have ever received when it comes to growing a video business?
You know what? It wasn't actually a piece of advice that I got. It's more a realization that's come from the beginning. So obviously I started with paid ads. I think the thing, if I could go back and change, scaled too quickly. That was the mistake that I made at the beginning, which is scaling too quickly. So what I mean by that is when you start scaling, you have to learn more skill sets. Managing team, as we were just talking about, all sorts of other things. Make sure your finances are in point, like you start becoming a bookkeeper, all this other stuff that comes a part of scaling. When you go too fast, you take your eye off the product and you start trying to do all these other things. At the beginning, I think you need to have clients. If I could go back, I would get my core clients and then stop and really focus on the product to make sure the delivery is seamless, and then go back into scaling rather than just scaling. We did it, got through it. Probably have more gray hairs than I really needed to have because of doing it that way. And I genuinely don't believe that the lessons that I learned from doing that were worth the cost. So it could have been done in a smoother way where I learnt all the same things, did all the same stuff, but didn't lose sleep every other night while trying to do it. So that was probably my worst piece of advice I got, was just like scale to the moon as quickly as humanly possible. I would rather a slower growth trajectory, which is sustainable. Sustainable growth to me is far more important than fast growth.
Absolutely. All of us, I believe, have made that mistake of just wanting to scale as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah.
And many things break along the way. Many things go wrong. And guess what? The mistake can cost you so much money that it almost
It's not even about the money.
Yeah.
Like the kids say this, YOLO, you only live once. And what that means for me is that if you fucking hate what you're doing, you're not getting that time back. And so there was times there when I was just pushing for scale. I fucking hated what we were doing because I was doing too much, doing my head in, didn't enjoy it for months. And so looking back, like, it didn't need to be that way. I was making it that way because I was just trying to scale as quickly as humanly possible on the advice of others and things like that. But I was just trying to do that. And so it's up to me to, I've now realized, like, okay, if I was going to do this again, which I will, not going to take that approach with it.
And what's the best piece of advice you have ever received?
The best piece of advice that I've ever received. You know what? I think the best piece of advice I've ever been is just be accountable. Like, if something goes wrong, acknowledge that, learn from it, and improve upon it. If something goes right, acknowledge it, learn from it, move on. But I think being accountable is by far the best piece of advice I could ever give anyone, because it flows into all aspects of your life. If you're accountable for what you say you'll do, then if you don't do it, you'll improve. And so you'll become a better person. If you do it and you figure out why, you'll improve. You'll become a better person, whether that's a better friend, better husband, a better partner, better whatever, because you're being accountable to the things that you say you'll do and the person that you want to become, as well as a better business owner because you'll deliver on your promises, blah, 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 blah. I think accountability is probably the one thing that if more people spent time looking at themselves, being like, am I being accountable in the way that I show up every day? Our world would be a very different place.
Extreme ownership.
Yeah.
With all the bad things
100%.
that happen within your business, within your life, but also the good things. You're responsible for both of them.
Exactly.
With that being said, Brother Flynn, where can people find you and Wildkinds Studio?
Yeah, the easiest place is just follow us on Instagram. We're pretty active, which is cool. So it's at Wildkinds, or you can find us online at www.wildkinds.com.au.
All the links will be in the description down below. Don't forget to follow us at The Creative Grid, at Creator Nelson in all major social media platforms. And I will see you on the next episode. Good vibes for everyone. My goal for this podcast is to help 1 million creative entrepreneurs make more money, have more impact, and create their ultimate reality. The best way for you to support this mission is by sharing the podcast with anyone you think will find it valuable. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and follow us on all social media platforms at The Creative Grid and at Creator Nelson. I will see you at the top.